Hey guys, what's going on? It is me, the creative Green Albie here, and today I'm going to showcase to you my very, very long-awaited podcast, and it's called Session 1.2 SAS Ingredient. That's what I call it. Yes, yes, yes. So it's really like a very long-awaited podcast. This podcast has been proposed by me almost a year ago when I last did Create Balance, and then now it's been over a year now that Green Freedom Academy has been around for a very long time now. So I'm like, it's me, Durrell, and I'm finally here to deliver our very long awaited podcast, and that one is called the S.A.S. Ingredient. So without further ado, let's get started. So before we get into this, I would like to say a massive shout out to my last three guests that I had with my podcast, from Inaz Hussein all the way up to Gerald, especially Tyreek Morgan, for contributing into this podcast called Green Freedom Academy. And I'm really excited to build and connect with other people. Also, we got session 2.2 coming up with our really, really biggest one ever. That one's going to come out next week, and that one's going to be the biggest one ever because we're not going to have one guest, we're going to have two guests. And we're really excited for that. And it's going to be around fitness and well-being. And fitness and well-being, it's really important for people to, in their nature, whether it's fitness, getting into gym, etc. It's really important. But I'm just gonna hold that on to the next podcast, because in this podcast today we'll be talking about my personal life ingredients, which calls S.A.S. So I've always been talking about S.A.S, and what is S.A.S to be specific? It stands for three short words. It stands for strategy, action, and support. A highly effective method that I have personally developed. It serves as my daily personal approach to problem solving, applicable to both creative work, related tasks, as well as challenging life routines. 90% of us use this strategy, but not even 90% of us. I wouldn't even say 90, I would probably say 100, or maybe almost everyone uses this strategy before, if they become successful, if they become what they want to be in life. But some doesn't know how they do it, and some doesn't know, some that stands on this ground in this earth in today's day, they still don't know how to do it. So this podcast today will talk about clearly what does the SAS method means, and how do people use that rule to kind of like push themselves out there, to make them become much more successful, into a point where it's a lot easier for them to develop. So yeah, I constantly utilize this method, and not just me. Most people around my circle uses this method who become successful, and it's proven instrumental in enhancing my professional achievement. The S.A.S method is really unique, and it's not just a regular method, rather it's a step-by-step method. So if I'm going to do things step by step, it's really important that we follow the steps. And S.A.S have three steps actually. So S.A.S is not A-double-S, it's S.A.S. And each of them have three methods, and that's where it really becomes important for each one of us to go on each steps. I'm not saying everybody to do that steps, but everyone's different. But I'm just saying in my way of perspective of how my experience and how the S.A.S works for everyone. Even though it's a step-by-step method, let me break it down that how each element of the abbreviation can contribute to each steps. And I will start with the word strategy. Now, strategy is the first and the most start of the line. The one method that needs to be begin before action and support, which is the A and the S. Well, this is where it gets interesting, because within strategy, This is where your ideas come into your mind. Like, when you have the strategy, it's really important to sort of reciprocate of what you view and visualize. Like, you see something, you see the problem, we see the challenges that we have in our day-to-day life. But the question is, how do I overcome that? And that's where the questions come in, where you have to write your strategy, where you have to actually use your creative mind that you have to facilitate those problems, and not just to facilitate them first, but it's really important to sort of like refresh your mind and come into place and all of that. And as I said before, many people who have a great strategy usually come from those who have a positive mindset. And the ones that have great positive mindset is usually those who meditate very, very regular. They are the one that usually contribute in the positive mindset, and they tend to strive more and become much more successful. Meditation is important. Like, it really brings people, not just people, but it brings your mind into a point where it's going to become really important to visualize your mind, your thoughts. That's literally what strategy is about. There are some individuals who struggles to find their ideas in their mind. And if you're someone who does struggle to find an idea, to start a task or a journey, it's great to stop and think at this point. It's great to stop and think. And we don't just have to stop and think, we have to do it deeply as well. Very, 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 very deep at this point. You need to just stop and think about what you want to become. And if you just think of if you don't know what you want to become, it's first that you stop and think, who am I? And what is my purpose? What is my journey in life? What's my desire? What is my part? What is passion? What is my passion? What is my heart? What is my dreams? What is my ambitions? So what is my goal? So all we have to do is just think about all these thoughts that come into our mind, our desire, our thoughts that come into our mind. Once you see those words, like your desire, your dreams, your ambitions, your goals, you see all of that, you're like, okay, I want to become that, I want to become that. And I would like you to hold all of that in your mind, try to connect deep with your well-being, yourself, really, really deep, for like 5-10 minutes. And you can pause the video as much as you like to, but I'm just going to continue on. But I would like you to think deeply. What do you want to become? Let's make an example here. If your dreams and ambitions is to become an artist, it's great to make research and start developing your journey to achieve it. And I'm not just talking about research alone, but to be more specific, is artist your thoughts? Is artist the first word that you think when you have your heart, your passion, your desire, your dreams, your ambition, your goal? If that's your ambition, you're supposed to have the heart and your mind and your passion to develop that. And that way you will start your momentum to get it out there. Think about how you plan a journey to become the most successful artist. And it's really important to plan it out with your heart and passion, as what I mentioned before. Once you healthily visualize your goals and ambitions and plan a healthy, passionate path, you will be able to achieve anything that comes from your action and support. So going back at this, strategy is like the key, and it unlocks the path to your action. It unlocks the purpose of what you want to become. And that's why many people, when they feel stuck, they usually come with an idea. When they're in their challenge path, they usually find what the challenge are and what are the solution to the challenge, and that's strategy. And that's how strategy come into place. Now we're gonna hop over to action. Having formulated the strategy, we proceed to the second phase right now. So this is the second phase, action. Actions assumes a secondary role, guiding the execution of the plan. Given your aspirations, taking action becomes significantly easier as you possess a well-defined blueprint from your strategy. So now that you have a blueprint of your strategy, like what your goal is, like you want to become an artist or you want to become an activist, or what challenges of the world that you're facing, in whether it's a societal distraction or climate change, some sort of stuff, we can just hold on to all that, and then we can grab our solutions to that, which is our strategy, and then we can formulate it and execute it to the plan out there. So now that we have all of that mind onto from your strategy, taking action becomes a lot easier, because now that you have a well-defined, clear view of your strategy, your action becomes a lot easier. The blueprint, as I mentioned earlier, serves as a roadmap, enabling you to translate your dreams into tangible actions. The tangible actions, you hear the word tangible? So like into a point where you can actually make it happen out there. And once you have the strategy and your action, your support will then begin to thrive. Well, there are certain points where it comes where many individuals got the strategy, but they don't know how to begin the actions. But that's fine, because you can reach out to someone like your family, your friends, and ask them, how do I execute this plan? And that is part of your action, because you're ambitionally driven by your action. So once you have your strategy and you have your passion and your heart towards it, it's going to be a lot easier to take your action towards it. And if you can't really get what you want to get, what do you usually do? You usually ask for help, and that's where action comes into place, and that's how it builds momentum and stuff like that. Now, we're heading into the last bit of everything, and that's support. Now that you have strategy and action, your support will then begin to follow. From connecting with people around you to getting opportunity from professionals to showcase your journey. That's what support is about. You have your strategy and you have your action in place. Now, once you have the two of them and you create stuff out there, you create your work out there, you have your action. You have your strategy out there, you have your support out there. But there are some individuals have strategy and actions but strive with no support. They can still strive but have no support. But that often comes around to preference or circumstances. But normally, 100% of the time, you will get support once you start execute your actions from your strategy. Because let's say, for instance, you have someone out there. How can you communicate your strategy to someone just by using our minds? Can we? We can't. We can't at all. We can't communicate with people just using our minds. And that's why everyone have mouth to speak, to throw our words out there where everyone will just understands and stuff. That's why many people tend to listen with attention and speak with an intention. And that's where action comes into place. Because strategy is what's in your mind before you get ready to talk, which is your action, your talk. You're taking action, you're making talks, you're making a change, you're bringing your ideas into it. That's a part of your strategy. And your action is like, okay, your action is to do this, to get more people involved, to change that, to facilitate problems out there in the world. And then once you get that, all the professionals, all the top tier people will just come into your space and be like, okay, I like the idea of what you're doing, and then we can help you. We can collaborate with your work because it's really good. I'm not saying for you to collaborate with businesses that doesn't really have your intentions, but it's really important that you speak with the intention, and your intention is supposed to match with your support. That's how you can strive your journey out there. I would say thank you all. Thank you everyone for coming into this video and listening all with Grenoble Freedom Academy session 1.2, the S.A.S rule, S.A.S ingredient, which is a really great opportunity and tool to actually work around with your life to make your living and your circumstances become a lot more better. And that's all wrap. So I would say again, thank you all for listening to this podcast. And if you really enjoy this podcast, be sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and also be sure to share this video to all your other friends as well, so everyone can be aware of this strategy of how to become a better person than what you are today. And coming up next, we got session 2.2, which is fitness and well-being with Delphi and Kaz. That is coming out just around the corner. Really, really great to see that one coming out as well. So that podcast is coming in your way. Stay on tune, and we will see you on the next video. Session 2.2.